Thanks very much, Andrew. I, of course, very much appreciate the input John just gave us. But if you look at the political reality, John, then unfortunately we have to discover that there is a whole range of wrong analysis and there is a whole range of wrong policy conclusions. If we look at the way in which the Stability and Growth Pact, for instance, in the European Parliament and in the Council was reformed, if we look at the fiscal compact by heads of states and government, the Mercosur policy line is quite the opposite that the program laid out, which you just introduced. And I have two worries I would like to quickly comment on. First worry is that we are driven right into the opposite direction in looking at the way, especially in the European Union, how member states try to get out of the crisis. It's mostly with the preference for consolidation in the most important aspects is austerity policy. It's the neglect of the need for investment. It's the neglect of the need for social balanced policies. And secondly, which is perhaps as worse as the first one, there is an ideological dominance for that pattern. At least in my home country in Germany, it's not unpopular to work like that. And despite seeing more and more people as well as nations suffering from that kind of policy, it's very popular. The Mercosur strategy still, perhaps the French developments will tell us a different story. I hope for that. But until now, it's very popular to argue, well, there is no alternative to consolidation. There is no alternative to austerity measures. We have to do it and everything. And look in the Nordic countries, for instance, which have been extremely successful during the last decades. But look at the talk, look at the conversations, look at the non-understanding of the needs in the South, and then you can realize that this neoliberal strategy is working on the cleavages in Europe and is making use of the cleavages of the non-understanding of the different situations, and that threatens us. So I'm permanently looking, having heard the alternative model, having had a look at the alternative, where's the entrance to the alternative model? How do we get there? So how can we start our alternative project, and what are the first steps? And what strikes me a lot is the question whether the left is ready and willing to, and that is a decisive element in addition to the question whether the labor market actors are strong enough. I would like to talk for a minute about our ability, our capacity, especially with you to the European Union, our capacity to reinvent a modern state as a multi-level governance entity which is able to face this situation, which is able to give the answer to the crisis in a forward-looking way, and by doing so, protecting the public good to the best benefit of its citizens. So that is my question. And having said that, I have to realize that there is one decisive element which we got wrong in our governance structure or in our way of policy making. Whereas on the one side, we talk about the consolidation measures permanently in hardcore politics term, Stability and Growth Pact, we talk about the fiscal compact, we talk about penalties. We have always to look in very, very rude ways to the so-called sinners. We have to draw conclusions. They have to pay. They have to do something. They have to be punished. That is our wording. That is our legal conclusions. And on the other side, when we talk about youth unemployment growing to 40% in some of our countries, when we talk about social inequality, we have soft law procedures. That is a good tradition already established in the Lisbon strategy in the year 2000. We have talks. We have talks. We don't have binding commitments. We have talks. And look at this funny, or if you wish, silly declaration during the last days of the heads and state of government. They feel obviously ashamed. They realize that they have no answer to the growth problem, that they have no answer to growing poverty, and now they start to talk about growth. But there is nothing in binding measures. There is really no hardcore politics conclusions. There's talks. And this mismatch between soft procedures without any conclusions on the one side and hardcore punishment on the other side, this mismatch has to be tackled. That is my most important argument. We have to work on that. We tried that during the Greens tried it, we tried it as the S&D during the reform of the Stability and Growth Pact, but this exactly was the red line for the other ones. I have very quickly 3 proposals. First of all, fight for binding commitments on the other side of the policy field. Secondly, when the others would like to talk about automatic sanctions, I'm in favor. If we can succeed to include an element, if you run out of your economic data, please automatically invent new taxes so that the income side of the state can be developed as we need to have it for progressive politics. And last one, not the least one, fight for democratic accountability. The Troika is going to ruin the Eurozone and the European Union without any adequate democratic control, neither on the national scale nor on the European Parliament scale. That is my 3 proposals to get forward to the entrance of the alternative model.